ladies and gentlemen, PlanetSide 2 viewers, everyone that's tuning in tonight to actually check out this Twitch channel. I know there's been a few interest and a few of you have already logged in to see what we're doing and what we're going to be talking about tonight. With me, I've got Furiosus, I've got Desspa, Jolly, dnaRIP, and Zoranthebear. I would like to first thank them for coming on this small discussion to what needs to happen, what's already happened, and where we take the game from here, or where Daybreak Games will be moving from here, or should be moving from here, and what needs to be done or implemented to actually get the game on a better standing position. I'd like them to first introduce themselves and talk a bit about what they do, how they enjoy the game, the playstyle they have, what outfit they're on, if they're in their outfits, and what's so special about them. So I'd like to start with Furiosus to introduce himself and talk about himself a little bit, and then move on to the next players, and then we'll start with the main questions. Thank you.
Hey there, Kosovan. Thanks a lot. Well, I've been a member of the outfit in the Elite since about 2004, and about a year ago, a little bit over, I was leading the outfit, and I've stopped since then. We're focused on sort of tight-knit infantry play. We play on the Miller server as TR, and many of these guys here are my enemies. And we've entered some of the competitions, and we were generally sort of aimed to be quite a competitive or rather hardcore outfit in the game. We're filled with a lot of players who've played many hours in the game. There's not really that much more to say about us than that.
Okay, thank you. And Jolly?
Evening everybody, Evil Jolly Ticky here, one of the co-leaders of MCY. Similar to Furiosus really, we've been around for a long time. The outfit got formed in one of the very first days of PlanetSide 1, so back in 2002. And we had a lot of success in that game. We carried it through into Global Agenda while we were waiting for PlanetSide 2 to be developed and to launch. So, you know, these sort of infantry-focused, large-scale FPS games are very much the sort of genre that we look to play in. You know, something like PlanetSide 2 offers our members the opportunity to all play the same game together. So, you know, we love that scope about it. From a personal level, we prefer to play at a sort of tactical, more infantry-focused level, much like in the Elite. You know, dropping bases where we're generally outnumbered, just to see what we can try and tie up as many of the enemy troops as we can. So yeah, I think that Miller would probably consider us to be a pretty reasonable outfit, and long may that continue.
Impressive. Okay, let's move down to Desspa. Desspa?
Hello. I'm from Woodman, and when SOE merged the servers, I created Void Guardians as a separate outfit from KOTV. To hunt for Furiosus and Jolly, Ini, and MCY. So that's our main purpose, to have something like that in the VS faction. They take these guys by the collar and punch them in the fucking face. Easy.
Okay. DNA, if you're there.
Yeah, my name is dnaRIP from Better Red Than Dead, BRTD. Been around since 2003. We're multi-continent, people from all over, focusing on combined arms. So we'll have infantry as well as armor and air assets that we bring. You know, we like to think that we don't really care about KD score per minute, because we'll take, you know, low BRs and then try and teach them the game and learn the game in a way that we think PlanetSide is meant to be played. Appreciate the time here. Thank you, Kosovan, and look forward to answering questions.
Cool. And Zoranthebear?
Hi, I'm Zoranthebear. I have a YouTube channel under the name Zoranthebear. I guess I'm only notable for being in BWC on Emerald and in the Recursion outfit on Connery. I've also made a number of YouTube videos just overly vaguely talking about the weapons of the game and making extremely stupid machinimas that some people laugh at and some people kind of cringe at. I also try and discuss certain aspects of Plastic 2 in different perspectives and try to be a devil's advocate at some cases in trying to push it. But overall, just being a goofball in PlanetSide.
Okay.
Subscribed.
Okay, we're gonna start basically just slightly getting into the conversation and easing into it. Basically, what I want you guys to focus is giving basically your opinions from your perspective into the answers that you believe are best out there. So my first questions to all of you, one by one obviously, will be how did you get into PlanetSide 2 first of all? If it's through PlanetSide 1, how did you get into PlanetSide 1? And what do you think of the old player base dropping drastically? And the second question, the add-on question to that is, do you believe that gaining a new player base is more important than keeping the old player base that has stayed with a game for years? That's the first question.
I would like to answer that.
Okay.
dnaRIP here. I got into PlanetSide 1, old Tactical Ops, which was a modification to Unreal Tournament. That's where DNA comes from. Our clan at the time was Do Not Ask. We got into beta for PlanetSide 1. Played it up and through beta, and I only played about another 3 months after it went live. Latency issues were a huge concern at the time, and the game for me was unplayable, so I quit. Years later, found out that they were going to be coming out with PlanetSide 2. Got into playing PlanetSide 1 again in anticipation of that. Was invited into BRTD, and that was 3-4 years ago. The old player base dropping, I think most of them would agree here. The meta for PS1 was much more advanced than what we have today. It's ant runs in particular. I think there was more vision, more awareness that you had to be cognizant of in order to maintain any type of advantage on the battlefield. I don't believe that gaining new player base is more important, but I don't also believe it's less important than keeping your old player base. Maybe to get some of that old player base, they need to think back to what PS1 was originally and move forward, maybe implement some of those meta issues that we had in PS1.
So what you're saying is keep a bit of the old player base, but also focus on gaining the new player base as well. Is that what I'm getting from you? Or?
Yeah, again, I don't think that one is either more important or less important than the other. I think in order to build the player base, you have to obviously keep what you have and make it more accessible to new players, make it interesting for them to come. And at the same time, keep your old player base happy by what got them involved in the first place, what made it interesting for them, why did they even get into the game? So it's a fine line that I think these devs have to walk, and I don't envy them whatsoever, especially with a lot of the feedback that they get. And I see more, or when I read things, I see more people that want to complain as opposed to give possible solutions on how they could make the game better for everyone.
Okay, fair enough. And what about you, Zoran? What do you think about this? The new player base and the old player base, where should they balance it out? What's your opinion on this?
I'm kind of on the same opinion with DNA. It's that fine balance of you have to find a way to give content for the old players so they can at least, have something new to do. Like, we've been doing the same thing over and over and over for thousands of hours. And eventually we're just going to say, all right, well, there's really nothing new happening at all. And I see nothing happening in the horizon that's going to completely change how I'm playing. Like, we're still going to be doing the same thing even with that new game mode coming out, which is just looking around, going to each and every single base, killing each other, logging off. That, or for other people who are trying to lead platoons and all that stuff. There's no easy solution to say, or no easy leeway to go no, screw all the old players, go with new players, because some people might think that might be the best option. Because if you bring a whole bunch of new players, they might become that old player base the longer they stay. Some of them might stick. It's like throwing as much as you can at the game and seeing how many people decide to cling on and go, hey, I actually like this, while others kind of rage quit and leave. But at the same time, if you only keep your old player base, you're going to have a lot of people who are just completely dominate. You're going to see the same old faces all the time. No one's going to be completely new. It's going to be the same thing over and over and over. It's sort of how when die-hard fans stay with an old dying game, that when its multiplayer starts to die in its late years, like you only see the same people over and over. Nothing's fresh, nothing's new. It's just same old thing. It's not a very easy question to kind of address, really, and once more the developers are going to have a really hard time. And I wish I personally had a solution. When I read the questions that you sent me, I actually sat down for quite a bit and going what should they prioritize? And if I was in management at that time, I probably would try and center the game to make it a little bit more accessible to new players. I would probably go 60% for new players and try to throw a couple bones to the old players, just to keep them interested until they can get back on their feet. Because right now they're not in a good position to, do anything for new players right now. That's one of their biggest problems. The game's not that accessible right now. And once people figure out how the game works, they're going to be here for a bit. And us veteran players can help those players, but we're going to need to help those new players a little bit more than the old ones.
So what do you think needs to be done to keep these new players in the game? What does the company need to do to make sure that these players come back and try the game again?
Get rid of the hackers.
That's one. Anything else?
I would say, and I can generally sum it up by saying accessibility and just leave it at that, but it's I guess consistency would be the better word. When a new player logs in PlanetSide, they really don't have a good solid idea. Because say if I go play CSGO or Battlefield or Dirty Bomb or something like that, I generally know where things are once I play a few matches. I know hey, there's that lane, there's that place I can flank this enemy, all that stuff. PlanetSide 2 maps are huge. There's all these people, multiple people are shooting at you, and you die consistently. And there's no good warning system saying, hey, you're going to die a lot. You should probably doing this. It's a mentality of a lot of new players of I have no idea what I'm doing. And there's not enough teaching tools to kind of bring them up to speed, which I don't think there's a good enough system to say, hey, go join an outfit immediately. I don't think there's enough emphasis on pushing people to outfits, because outfits are possibly the best teaching tools in PlanetSide, or outfits that are pretty good themselves at teaching. That's why outfits like AOD or ADK or something are kind of nice for these new players, because it's just a whole group of people that's helping these folks out. And I kind of wish, I pondered this a lot, and I personally don't have a solid solution to say this will be the definite solution that will help every new player in the world, because I think it's mostly a case of the game can handhold you so much in this game, but it'll never be enough, because PlanetSide is such a hostile game to people who don't know what's going on. And the best way to deal with it, possibly, is to bring those new players with a team that knows decently what to do and have them learn with them. Because learning by themselves won't work as well as working with a team.
Okay.
I've got a suggestion too.
Yeah, I have one too. Please, Furiosus.
Desspa, you press the button first, mate.
Yeah, outfits could get points for teaching new players, for training them. Well, when I joined KOTV, there were jihad trainings. There were all kind of trainings: how to fly, how to do all kind of stuff. Dark fits are good. If you have a question, you ask in outfit chat, and 100 people will answer you. Also, I don't know, you'll never be alone if you help. If more guys, if you need a gunner. I would advise new players to join a Zergfit. Maybe not 6,000 plus, over 9,000 members, but somewhere around 400 people. That's very good for somebody who's new to the game. I don't know. Keeping all players, bringing new players. The most important thing is keeping leaders. They are the people who are making the meta in the game. They say, guys, we really need to take this base, or I don't know, they are the guys in Yell chat. Leaders make PlanetSide what it is and what we love.
You could also argue that new players make new leaders, you know, that comes with the influx of players you get into the server. But
Regarding leadership, it's complicated. I mean, in all the groups, outfits I have been into, all of them have problems finding people who are willing to open the squad, who are willing to keep keep the squad going for hours. There's a special breed of people who are dedicated and, I don't know, keep the lights on.
I guess I've kind of got a little bit to say on that matter. But going back to the sort of the original question, which was, how do we keep old players, and is it important to keep old players over new players? I think we actually have to look at the reasons why it appears that Sony and now Daybreak Games wanted to get new players in. And I think new players bring money, and old players have not been spending as much money. Certainly I haven't spent as much money as I did at the start of the game. And I think that's probably true for most of you guys. So they clearly wanted, for financial reasons, they clearly want to bring in new players. And they also haven't been working on certain elements because they've been aiming the game at consoles, because they wanted to release this on the PlayStation. And that goes on to leadership. Now, leaders are important because to have growth, which is more important than bringing in new players and throwing out old ones, realistically, it is. To have growth, you need to have structure. And as Desspa said, leaders are structure. Leaders create the fun experience for people. And leaders are almost, not individually, but as a role, having leaders is something that's as valuable to Daybreak Games as having a staff member.
They're like game masters.
Definitely. But what makes leaders? Well, I think glory makes leaders. Leaders need to want to become leaders. Like, I know certainly you, Cosman, you wanted to lead, and you've done that because you wanted to. There's plenty of people who don't want to, but you need to give people a reason to want to lead. Previously we had that, and outfits used to have a kind of rivalry. And slightly in contrast with what Zoranthebear said, I don't feel that players need to have lots and lots of new content. I feel that in an MMO game, it's up to the players to create their own content. And games like Counter-Strike don't have lots and lots of new content, but what they do have is competition and strategy. Each game
Rivalry.
For sure. Each game you play is going to be different, and it's going to be a challenge. And I think challenge is what keeps old players in games like first-person shooters.
The best Counter-Strike players, they take each round one at a time. So.
But on one more note, new players often load up the game, and as Zoran said, they don't really have a clue. And it's not that there's so much depth to PlanetSide 2, because ultimately there isn't. It's that there's so much on face value that you need to know before you can carry on. And then you realise that it's almost a massive team deathmatch game. So what we need in that sense is there needs to, perhaps on the loading screen or prior to that, after that, stuff like Rel's videos, Zoran's videos, all these kind of tutorials need to be presented in the same way that games like Dota 2 present with their Wikipedia and player guides and stuff like that. That all needs to be shared, because then new players don't really have an excuse for not knowing what's going on. I don't think players load up and go, oh, well, I don't want to learn. They just load up and get frustrated and then quit.
Well, one more thing. I don't know if Zoran can confirm, but in Europe, people don't use proximity chat. People don't speak that much to each other. We played against Emerald. Every group of people, when I watched the video, was like, at any time they could divide in a different cell. They were proxy chatting. Oh, guys, there's a max or whatever. People don't speak that much. People should communicate more. If human interaction stops in PlanetSide, then game is dead. If it doesn't stop, then new meta, new rivalries are created.
I'm gonna admit that I completely shut down all of my voice chat in game because, I understand you should definitely communicate, but I only communicate people with I know that I can trust on and rely on. Say if I go play with BWC or Recursion or whatever, I go in their team speak when we're playing PlanetSide and be like, oh, hey, there's a guy on your left, on your right, the guy's going to Jin, and then we can coordinate because we know what to do. When I yell at a person randomly on the internet going, hey, dude, there's a guy on the generator, I need you to take care of him, why should he listen to me? Why is he going to allow me to boss him around, or why should he take my orders? Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works because, oh yeah, that's good advice. I need to go take care of that gen so we don't lose it and so we all don't die. Thanks for giving me the heads up. Is that perspective as well? That is also the case. I'm an antisocial bastard. I don't want to. Go ahead.
It's human contact. It's human contact, and when somebody else is speaking to you from the other side of the planet, that's a big deal.
Well, all right. What do you think, Jolly?
Kosovan?
Go on.
Yeah, I think the old CR5 from PS1, that type of tree where you worked your way up and you had to, gain that privilege. That's not there anymore. So you've got people that don't know who somebody is because there is no way of saying, this is what I've done and I've got to this point. I've got all the experience, so maybe that's why you should listen to me. I think maybe that might help, is the leadership tree needs to be changed a little bit.
No, that's a good idea, because in Guild Wars 2, they have that little commander icon on the head, and when I usually go in there to kind of do the world versus world stuff, I don't try to find a group or something. I go immediately to that commander icon, because if he has that, and he spent all that gold and all that time and effort getting it, he probably knows what to do, and I should probably follow him. So probably something like that in PlanetSide 2 would be awesome. Someone with a commander, a commander icon, a commander costume, or anything like that, wears a really nice hat or something saying, I'm the leader, follow me. And it'll kind of give new players a little point of reference, hey, the commander's there, that's probably a battle you should go to.
We have the helmets, but I stopped leading public platoons, and then I was playing with my guys, like you said. We're all in TeamSpeak, we all know what to do, but I never get the commander helmet in PlanetSide. But most of the time I've played this game, I played it as, telling people what to do. Go there, let's do this, let's do that.
Okay, and Jolly, what's your opinion on basically the Daybreak Gaming targeting the new players and forgetting a little bit about the old players? What do you think about all this happening at the moment?
It's undoubtedly a slightly tricky question, but it's almost moot in a lot of ways because, quite frankly, the ship's almost pretty much sailed in terms of old players. So, if I'm brutally honest, if I had to answer the question one way or the other, I would say, the most important focus probably is on the new players, because that's really where the future of the game is. That's the continuation of everything, and as Furiosus rightly pointed out, that is absolutely where the money is. If they were to fulfill the game's potential, then again this would all be irrelevant because old players would for sure stay, new players wouldn't be a problem getting them to start the game and keeping them interested. I think some important and good points have been made. I definitely think that it's pretty intimidating as a new player coming in. I'm only actually guessing this because most of us, if not all of us, started in beta or on or around launch, so we've never actually experienced that awkward period of trying to get into this game when you're one of the few people around that really doesn't know what they're doing. At least back at the start, we were all clueless. So it is a difficult one, but I think that it's very important that they look towards new members. But with that said, old players are never completely lost to you if they can get the game going in the right direction. And I've seen a few things over the last few weeks which have encouraged me on that. then hopefully we'll see some of the older guys return. We've just returned from a fairly prolonged period of inactivity. We've been off doing other things, but really for the last 9 months or so, our outfit's not been playing. But we're proof that with a few minor tweaks to a few things, all of our guys are suddenly enjoying it again, and we're regularly getting 30 people on a night again. So, and that's happened literally in the last week. So I think that new players are really important. I agree that we need to try and make it a bit easier for guys to get through that awkward phase. Ideally, yes, getting people into outfits that are there to try and encourage people through and give them some basic knowledge. I would absolutely encourage people to do that. Yeah, there's been some good ideas mentioned already.
Okay. Let's just summarize this whole question with one little summary of what I've tried to gather from all of you. Basically, it's as important as it is to keep old players, to actually advertise and get new players to start playing the game. But Daybreak needs to find a way to bring those players in, create a home for those players, and put up different first steps to how they learn to play the game so they can enjoy it better. Do we all agree on that?
I don't.
Okay.
I loved the part when, well, at least when I started the game, I was drop podded in the middle of a big ass fight. That was amazing. I mean, I was drop podded. I don't need a tutorial. I'm gonna learn it sooner or later, but I was drop podded in the middle of a big ass fight. Oh, and then these guys had I don't know, pity for me, or said, okay, come with us, gun my basilisk or whatever. DBG is doing what Buzzcut Psycho said a long time ago. An outfit that stops recruiting is a dead outfit. So if PlanetSide stops recruiting, it's a dead game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get natural
PlanetSide...
attrition.
Yeah.
So you have to keep getting new guys in.
Exactly.
Otherwise, yeah, absolutely, the player base will continue to shrink.
Okay. We're going to move to the next question really quickly. Just to summarize it up, the question is going to be based in a paragraph that was given a month ago. It was given by Smedley, so he declared, and what he said in quotation marks is, we'll be making announcements about the 2.0 release in the near-term future with a lot more specifics. In addition, we have a nice surprise for you. We're also going to be adding another game mode to PlanetSide 2 for the first time. You can expect to be seeing that in the upcoming week on live servers. It will be a better of the game mode. This will actually be a game mode with a win condition. Hopefully you like it. It meant to be the kind of thing you pop into for an hour match and then go back into the main game. Hopefully in the short term we can make it so outfits can directly compete against other outfits in the game mode. Also, we aren't charging to get into this mode. The entire reason for it is to try something new and see how we all like it as a community. After 2 months of Smedley basically promising this and many other improvements and new game modes in the next week, back then we're still waiting for an actual release of something new, Battle Islands or anything else. Do you guys believe there should be another game mode, and do you think that maybe Smedley has overdone it with the promises? If there was a game mode to pick from, what would you pick yourself to actually want to play?
I want to say something fast, and then I'll finish on this question. This guy that declared thing, he's just another politician. He doesn't play the game, he doesn't develop, he doesn't write code. He's a politician, man. He's a corporate motherfucker in a suit. No. He's a politician. He promises things. Yeah, we're gonna have a game mode. Dude, play the fucking game. Listen to people like Zora, like Mukas, and then come up with these declarations. What he declared, yeah. Fucking politicians.
Okay, I guess that's Despa's answer to this question. Furiosus, can you elaborate more into that, please?
I think he needs to hire somebody to do the PR for him. I don't think he's stupid at all. But I think that when he makes these kind of statements, as he's done previously a couple of years ago, the same kind of stuff, when he makes them personally as the CEO of the company, when he doesn't follow through, it damages a public image of the company. About the game mode itself, I think it's okay. I'm happy to see them take time, having actually heard about its status in development. I'm glad they're not rushing it, but again, this is making a promise, CEO making a promise that something's going to happen and then not delivering on it, saying that I just think he should stay out of the public element of it. I'm very happy, though, in other ways of the way the dev team have been approaching the Reddit and talking to people. Guys like Burness, they're fantastic.
Okay. And Zoran, what do you think about this?
I kind of want to look at it of just completely ignoring, really, just Smedley himself saying it. And try to think of the background of it. I'm pretty sure Smedley, I don't think we know at all if he himself sat down going, I want this game mode, and it's all going to be my idea, and I'll announce it and everything. It's all me. Like, I don't think we took the perspective of, did an entire development team sit down first and then propose it to him, and then he probably liked it and got on board with it? Is it the devs' idea completely that, hey, we want to have this type of game mode, we're going to do something like Server Smash that people can just kind of queue up for now? And Smedley probably liked that idea. He probably saw the Twitch streams and everything going, you know what, we want more of that, so I'm going to actually try to promote that thing. And he's going to, and of course the promising thing and everything, something you should never do. Like, I completely agree. He has boldly stated a lot of stuff and boldly promised a lot of things, and it's never gone well in the past. In which I'm pretty sure we don't need to remind anybody that it's always been a bad thing. But I'm also trying to reread the question here a little bit in case I missed something. We're also just talking about the game mode itself too, right? Or are we just discussing Smedley announcing it?
Not just Smedley, but also the game mode. What game mode would you actually prefer? Or what would you like to come into the game itself?
Yeah, and it seems like this game mode should have just, like, some of the changes inside the game mode should have just been in the live game. This should never be a separate thing. You should never split this. Yeah, you should never split our player base, because as of right now, I don't know the exact numbers currently, but from an impression of playing on certain off hours, it's not great. You shouldn't split that. And think of this perspective. Think of a new player who hops in, who's not even a part of this little event, and he sees all these large outfits just take all their people and go to this little thing that they cannot be a part of at that time. Just see a total lack of players. And that's also the thing that we talked about before. Like, sometimes new players don't have a clear direction of where the fight is sometimes. And there have been times I've watched live streams of just random people coming up and trying. They can't find anybody. Like, they don't know where anybody is. They see this huge map and they don't know exactly where the fight is. Hell, sometimes I don't. I would go to a battle or go to a hex that's like, hey, there's like 24 versus 24. I'm like, neat. I go to the base and no one's around. And that's going to make that problem worse with this mode. And I'm going to fully admit, I'm not 100% sure what's in the game mode, because I've been away, because I've been like moving around. I didn't have a house for a little bit, so I was completely out of tune on this. So I don't know the details of the game mode, so please forgive my ignorance. But from what I've just been told in general, this isn't going to work out how they plan it. It's a good idea on paper, but it will not be executed well. It would work well if we had an overflowing population and there's a select few people. But it does also address a problem that people had, is that people always wanted some sort of like instance competitive mode in PlanetSide that they can enjoy without any outside force. Like, a lot of people complain that Zerg Fits would come over and completely ruin this really nice fight they were having. Like, that would address that problem, but it would create a lot more, probably.
What would create a problem with the sandbox element?
That too. Like, but please forgive my ignorance on this. I'm not 100% sure exactly what the game mode entails. I've been trying to find a good, solid read on it, but I've been getting a lot of
I'm
mixed
not.
things.
I'm not talking about the game mode. I'm talking about. Yeah, you guys have a nice fight, two outfits, but that base for me matters much more than your fun times. I need to take that base, you know. That's the sandbox element. That's why, I don't know, that's part of PlanetSide meta.
Just jumping in on the small scale.
Go ahead.
I just saw this comment from Lonnie, and it's like PlanetSide 2 was originally sort of promised to have these. They said it was going to be part of MLG. It was going to be a very competitive game. So they did attract a lot of competitive players who have been around for a long time and feel very, very frustrated that they've never really got had their sort of point of view taken seriously and those promises made up on. And I think that this was considered to be maybe an attempt at that, but PlanetSide, the Forge Light engine, doesn't handle small-scale combat very well. It's designed for lots of players, and it makes big sacrifices on things like networking and just general lag compensation and the fidelity of the game. So it's not really worth the time of PlanetSide trying to promote stuff. I mean, I know games things like Farmers, they're fun, but it would be better to use a different engine to have a different game. PlanetSide's never going to be about small-scale combat. It's not a selling point. It's not worth it. There's other games that do it better.
Well, it will never be a competitive FPS, but PlanetSide is so many times it's about role-playing. And yeah, you can go and play 12 versus 12 if you want. You can do so many things. There are many ways you can play this game. That's what fascinates me about PlanetSide, and that's what kept me going. I can do so much.
I think that a word safely is something that's going to be muddled in that, because I know a lot of people who try to go on the PTS or even on live who try to do their little 12 versus 12 scrims or whatever, because they enjoy that aspect. Like, there are people or outfits out there who actually enjoy that small scale. And I mean, that's great. Like, if they want to go and do that, that's fine. Like, I don't think plans should be centered on that, but I'm glad that they're able to do it. But doing it safely is very difficult, because even when I go and try to film things on the PTS or on live or anything, I am consistently harassed. Like, people will immediately come and kill me, and they also go to those little 12v12s and completely kill them.
Last year was pretty nice for competitive. I mean, SOE put up Jaggers, the server smash server for competitive matches for the league.
Yeah, you
for
have access to
PSPL.
it.
Well, you could be any outfit, new outfit, made 12 hours ago, and you could sign up for PlanetSide Battles League, and you could play 12 versus 12. I think Jolly can say more about the tournament that is starting on 28, I think. I don't know. It's like the old Community Clash, but has different name, maybe different rules.
To answer your questions there, Kosovan, I think from my point of view, I really don't think there should be another game mode. I think Zoran brought it up that kind of fracture your player base, especially at a time when maybe player base isn't expanding as quickly as they would like in order to support that. As far as Smedley promising things, I think that just comes from the fact that it's a corporation. They want to say things to give us some type of hope, but by the same token, you can't do that over the course of a number of years and then have people still believe what you're trying to shovel at them. So when he says things anymore, I'm more of the wait and see approach. Let's see what happens when we get it live. Until then, sure. Yep. I want to see it on live. I don't care if it gets on PTS. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go live. So if I had a game mode to pick for myself, I think the new game mode might necessarily, like I said, I think they might have an identity crisis going on here. They're trying to maybe make themselves available to like the COD kiddies. I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to make the more competitive outfits or players all that interested. I don't know. That would be more Jolly and Furious could answer that question. I just want to play MMO FPS on PlanetSide in the scale that it's meant to be played.
Okay. And Jolly, what about your experience from the competitive side of play? What do you think about this whole topic about the game mode and everything else?
I think it's very trendy these days for games to sort of all of a sudden have this secondary game mode that it's instanced that is even more spectacular than the actual game that we're all supposed to be playing. I think the whole thing's bullshit, quite frankly. I don't think it needs another game mode. I'd much rather see them spend the time and money that they are developing on doing this spent on actually sorting out the game on the live server, putting in some new content there, not just changing the values of some weapons, giving it a new skin, and calling it content on the marketplace. It's not content; it's rubbish.
Good point, Jelly.
PlanetSide 2 and SOE or Daybreak, whatever you want to call it these days, they're the kings of fake content. They Smedley, going back to Smedley, do I think he makes too many promises? Hell yes, I do. And it's all they start all these projects and it all sounds great on paper, and then actually it all just kind of disappears into the ether. And nothing actually gets pumped out of the back end except an announcement that we've got a new NC LMG or something. So, yeah, I don't think it's necessary. If people are arguing that they want some sort of instanced, more competitive environment, there are community events that are set up for these things. We've just entered into the Lane Smash. There are 12 sign-ups across Europe, 5 from the US. Are there people that actually want this competitive stuff, or is this just things people say? We'd love to get involved in the competitive side of things. I don't know, but I mean, there's 2 outfits per faction per server signed up for Europe. Even worse on the US. So how people are kind of thinking that we should be basing an entire game mode around the fact that you can have this small-scale instanced gameplay when people aren't even signing up in numbers for the community events that are very well put on by a small number of people that put a lot of effort into it. I don't know. It doesn't add up to me.
Again, it's the problem. Many people play the game in many ways. So
I just kind of think this whole different game mode is tweaking a few values, changing a couple of tiny rules, and pumping out as a new game mode.
I don't agree with the game mode. I
fundamentally don't either. People have already mentioned that. It's a problem with splitting the player base. We've already been alluding to the fact in prior questions that the game is losing its player base. So to come out with a different mode now that is going to potentially split it even further just seems moronic. But
and you know how SOE updates are. You get one good thing and you get 2 bugs.
Just a note on the community competitive thing. You just said there's 12 outfits from Europe signing up for the Lane Smash and 5 from America. But
I don't know. Absolutely quote me on that. But having spoken to Reeve, that was certainly the case up until about 72 hours ago.
Just the point that there's no European Jaeger, and a game that's supposed to be competitive, outfits take it seriously. They're going to be very upset if they're losing or they feel like they're losing.
I fully agree with that. We've obviously got experience in ComClash. I don't want to talk too much about all of that sort of stuff because it sounds a bit like sour grapes, but I do agree with you that it would be lovely to see if they really want to go down that sort of route, a European server that Europe could play their competitions on. I totally agree with that.
Okay. We're going to move to the next question, guys, real quick. And the next question is, what can we do as a community to keep the game alive and to get more new players into the game? If there's nothing we can do as a community, what do you think Daybreak Gaming needs to focus on to bring more results for the community? Anyone wants to elaborate on that? Basically, what's the community's job to keep this game running?
Well, the community's job is to play the game, play the game.
Again, people have kind of already made some really good points which are relevant to this question. When they sort of talked about leaders, I mean, you've got to make the game fun for your own community first. That's really what the community can do for itself. Is that particularly obviously outfits. Random Lone Wolf is fair enough. I can't really speak for them, but as outfit leaders or officers, it's vital that you look after your outfit first. Faction, don't worry about your faction. Don't worry about what's happening in the server smash. Don't worry about what's happening in nightly alerts and all that sort of stuff. Make sure your guys are having a good laugh, and if you do that, then everything else will come off the back of it. That and sorting out the hackers, some online moderation was my answer to this question.
Okay. And Fury?
I completely agree with Jolly there. I think new players. I think they're getting new players. I don't think that like them actually having new players come to the game is a massive issue. I think the retention rates are the issue. I think there's a lot of great content from players in the community, and I think the community would like to help, but I kind of feel like the community's helps aren't, or the ability to help isn't being promoted, and that comes down to the leaders. I think, as Zoran said, like it's some kind of newbie outfit, like they do in EVE Online. They have a newbie corporation that players are instantly put into. I actually think that another thing I didn't touch on is that a live server ranking system in such a way that when you look at the map as a player, you see a 50-50 fight. But if you've got a bunch of BR100 veterans fighting a bunch of new guys, that's not an even fight. And I don't think it should be illustrated as such. I think that's important as well, so that players know what they're kind of like, why they're getting beaten. That's just a small element of the whole thing. New players need to be given better access. That access to information should be promoted. Wikipedia needs to be there. Just something for guys to understand why things are the way they are.
Would it also be an idea, for example, the streamers we have, like Zoran and a lot of the guys that stream, or even the guys that make YouTube, Rel, Hervey, Zoran, all these guys, what if Daybreak Gaming decided to give them a bit more support, or, I don't know, do something for these streamers and casters and YouTube channels?
Loading screen. That just like Counter-Strike Go, that like they have lots of information about tournaments, all that kind of stuff. Dota has all these guides. It needs to be presented to the players in the game at the start of the game.
So basically, where they promote their products and everything else, have, for example, videos, tutorials, this and that, how the games works, what the mechanics are, and stuff like that. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yes, and I do think that the community has done quite a bit to keep the game alive and promote it. DBG would maybe best be served to focus on and promote those efforts in a more efficient and, obviously get that word out about what all these guys are doing. They're doing great things, man.
It's I know they tried to do a Twitch initiative with us, and it was a massive problem of just creating content for the game and promoting it as much as we could, because there's a certain point where you're just making a video just to make a video, and it becomes fairly difficult, like trying to like continuously say, oh, the game is great, you should try it, keep going, and eventually you kind of get bogged down by the game itself, which sadly happened to me, where I was like, yeah, try it out and all that. But for the community themselves, like say that you log in, I agree with what you guys said. You should, all the video stuff, all the Twitch stuff should be fairly available in the game. There should be a tab that it should be clearly presented to a new player. Like, are you having trouble? Here's a video about this weapon you're using, or you want to buy this weapon? Here's a gun you can use. Go ahead, Desspa.
Sorry, I was just
Is it
meditating on what you were saying. I disagree. If you're new and you come to a new universe, you're gonna get wrecked. You're gonna get pounded everywhere. You're gonna get wrecked.
I mean, like, I understand this, but
that
holding people's hands is something in like a lot of game design that people initially go, no, the player should always figure it out. The player is its own tutorial. He should all figure it out.
It's a sandbox game, and you learn to play it whatever way it suits you. Nobody will. I don't know.
The thing is, Desspa, we aren't in the old days. Like the old days of PC gaming, that's absolutely fine. But players now have been handheld, and they expect that. The reasons lots of games like Call of Duty and stuff, they are much less. They have much lower skill ceilings and higher skill floors than games like Quake. In order to give players a certain experience, to make them feel like they already know what they're doing, there's already established conventions.
That's
it sucks, but that's the way the world is, and they want
like
to make money in
disease.
this game.
It's a disease to hand everything on a plate to a fucking noob. It took me many hours, and I've put money in a free-to-play game, which is PlanetSide. I've put more money than all the. I even bought a new PC to play this game.
That's what, can I stop you for a moment?
Yeah, please.
Let's put this in perspective. Let's say I take a friend who just casually plays FPS games, and let me bring him to PlanetSide. Okay, he knows nothing of the game. Okay, I'm going to take all tutorials away from him. Okay, I put him down, and I let that person play. 10 minutes later, he goes, I couldn't figure it out, so I'm not really interested in the game anymore. I didn't really get the feel of it. I didn't know what was going on, so I'm just not going to play it again.
Well, when I start a new game, I'm not going to sit on YouTube and check tutorials and learn the game from tutorials. I'm going to play the game, I'm going to get wrecked, and then after a few hours, I'm going to wreck somebody, and that's going to give me big achievement. Personal achievement.
But we aren't talking about shoving it down his throat. We're talking about him having the option to look it up. That's what people do. Like, say if I look at a weapon and I'm like, I want to know more about this weapon. If there's an option in the game that says, hey, here's a YouTube video about this weapon, I have the choice to click it. Or I can just go, I don't need a YouTube video to tell me what to do. I'm going to take the gun and figure it out myself. That's your option, right? That's what you prefer, correct?
No, I was saying that I played PlanetSide the first day and then I logged out. I was lost somewhere in the mountains of Amerish the first day. Then I looked video and I saw on YouTube The Crown, and it was presented in such a way that all the factions wanted the crown. When I finally learned where the crown is, I got there and it was a massive fight. And then I saw, I don't know.
The thing is, I think, Zoran, you kind of touched on it. You said, like, if a new person who's played FPS games, and I think that's really important. If you've played FPS games before, and you come to this game thinking that you're going to play an FPS game, you're going to find it far more frustrating than if you're coming to this game saying, I have no idea about it, I'm going to learn. And I think I've seen that in the way people play it. I've seen that in the players I've had in my outfit who've been new. It's kind of like a movie. Like, there's plenty of movies that have been great films, but they've advertised themselves wrong. So on the opening weekend, people go to a cinema thinking, hey, I'm going to see a horror movie. But they go in, and it's not a scary movie, it's a deep intellectual film. And they come out thinking, why did that wasn't what I wanted to watch, and so they give it bad reviews. And that happens to PlanetSide.
Well, let me tell you how I ended up in PlanetSide. I was playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and one day we were attacking DAS 2 way long, our sniper was missing, and me and my brother, we just rage quitted, downloaded PlanetSide, and the next day we were... This is the best part of PlanetSide, when you're a new player and you discover all this stuff. I don't want spoilers everywhere on the menu screen, in the warp gate. I want to go out there and discover for myself, and that's what kept me going. Curiosity kept me going.
All right, we're gonna keep on topic on this whole conversation. Well, on my opinion, I'd say have a few tutorials, have a few videos on how things are done. Yes, players should waste time on researching and playing and finding the things by themselves. But if me and you have wasted our time looking things up and going to the crown and visiting with a bunch of friends and then losing and dying and getting lost on Amish mountains, time has changed. Games are really fast paced now, especially these few last months. There's games coming out left and right, and you don't just get tutorials, you get explanations in depth on how you do things, even if it means something must be done in a certain way to win a mission or whatever it is. That's why PlanetSide is lacking a bit of content. So I believe Daybreak Gamers should actually support these streamers, casters, and support the guys like Zoran who make videos.
What I don't want is another arcade FPS shooter. I don't need another arcade FPS. I have tons of arcade FPS shooters out there. They all the same. Dirty Bomb, Team Fortress, Global Offensive. They all the fucking same. When I go in PlanetSide, it's an entire world. It's more than just an FPS. I can go and I can sit 7 hours and just talk to another human being somewhere on a mountain. No, don't take the sandbox and the exploration part of PlanetSide. remember these people, these factions, they all are explorers on this planet. And this is one of the best parts of PlanetSide. If you want to everything is somebody else,
Why don't they just
hope you
give
guys get the point.
Why don't they just give all new players flak armor 10 until battle rank 10? Boom.
Well, one of the best
The most
memories,
annoying thing about
one
this
of the
game for
best-
new players is dying to stuff you just cannot see.
One of the best memories I have in this game is it was my 5th day in PlanetSide, and the leader of KOTV revived me. And I said, oh my god, man, this guy really cares about his soldiers. It's the last base we have. If we lose this base, we're gonna lose the Indar bonus. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. But then when I talked to the guy, he said, man, it was just a revive grenade. But at the moment when I was fighting and I was believing that, yeah man, it's our last base, it's the fight for the bonus. This guy came and revived me, and that made me sensitive towards the community. It's how you meet people in this game. If everybody learns a tutorial and then he starts headshotting people left and right, he's never gonna make friends, he's never gonna...
I disagree with that. I'll have to fully disagree with that one. I believe if a player knows the game in and out, they'll just be a better asset to the game or to an outfit, whatever they decide to join. Simple as.
I completely agree with Cosman here and disagree, Desspa. I think like the going into the game and exploring, that's fun. But the idea is that if you know the game, then you can play the game to its maximum ability, like to your maximum ability, and that the game itself is enjoyable. So knowing the game and having actually knowing it allows you to fully enjoy the game. And unfortunately, with PlanetSide, knowing it means that you realise that it's quite a big team deathmatch.
I don't want to get in a counter argument.
Cool.
Dialogue with you. All I'm trying to say is that PlanetSide can be played in many different ways.
Soren, anything else to add on this question?
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on just what the community can do and all that again. One of the biggest or most powerful things is possibly word of mouth. Is because if you go on Reddit or if you go on forums or stuff like that, one of the common things you'll see is that sometimes when PlanetSide 2 is brought up, people will go like, oh, is it, I thought it was pay to win, or I just didn't really get it, or it was so laggy when I tried playing it, so I didn't give it a chance, or something like that. If you know something has improved, if you know something that person had a problem with and it's now fixed, like for me, my FPS problems are now mostly fixed. Like there are still times we're going to fight where it's like 40, 30 FPS or so. It might sound like, oh, poor baby for me, but I have a standard of if it's not 60 plus, you're not worth my time. And like just like kind of mention on your forums, mention on Reddit, on Twitter, or just somewhere saying like, oh hey, like the FPS in PlanetSide got way better with this update, or hey, they're adding this new thing that I think is cool, or something like that, or I had a really good time today, this is what I did, or just don't lie just for the sake of like trying to bring people in. Honestly say what you feel. It was like, yeah, they added these new gold weapons which are kind of crap, but they added this neat new vehicle thing called a Valkyrie. You can spam horns over tanks. Like, man, just spread the word yourself. You don't need to make videos or anything. You don't need to like make a huge like Reddit photoshopped After Effects GIF post or something. Just say, yeah, I had fun in it. And you should just give it a try. It's free. Like, give it another shot.
Cool. All right. Moving to the next question, guys. Do you think it would be nice if Daybreak Game would invest in a small competition cup and have a tournament for all outfits to take part and have a prize pool for the teams? DNA first. DNA?
Yeah, I'm here. Just that's a tough question for me to answer. You know, I'm not sure that that's going to. I don't. I'm going to say no, and the reason is this. I think their efforts need to be placed more on getting PlanetSide where it needs to be. And I really have to go back to created PS2 because he had PS1. Our current game, though, other than having the factions, is not really indicative of what PS1 was as far as playing that game. And I don't mean to go back, a decade, but the sequel right now is not close enough to PS1. I think that is where their focus should be, not on trying to appease certain segments within the overall community. For myself, I think the broad focus should be focus on PS2 overall. Get that meta where it needs to be.
Okay, Jolly.
I don't think it'll make any difference. We do a fair amount of the competitive side of stuff. What sort of a prize pot are you talking about? 100 euros? 1,000 euros? I don't think it'll make any difference at all. If you want to sign up, if outfits want to be competitive, there are events that they can sign up for. There are tournaments going on that are community driven, as I've already explained. So it's just all about bragging rights, really, and that's fundamentally what this is all about, if we're honest. So would €500 prize pot sweeten the deal for my guys? Nah, not really. Yeah, we'll take it, but I would much rather see that $500 put into some dude actually doing something for the live server. It's this, as I've already explained, this whole competition side of things is very niche. There aren't that many outfits that are interested. Clearly, I haven't seen sign-ups, and from the guys I speak to, and I understand that there are reasons behind others not getting involved. I totally get that, but we really should be budget should be going on improving the game for the wider community, for sure, 100%.
Cool. Fury?
Absolutely same thing. Completely agree.
Zoran?
I would kind of leave the perspective of how the company kind of runs with it. I wouldn't say no to any prize poll or anything being done, but I don't think DBG themselves should be doing the work. I think they should say, hey, you can have this prize, here you go. Like, we'll support you, we'll kind of advertise your thing, but we're not going to make it for you. We're not going to make the competition. Like, the current tournaments that are going on, the current events that players are making, just DBG can go, oh, hey, we'll kind of give you, like, we'll kind of throw in like a little thing to kind of give you the prize pool, sort of like how Smite did, where whoever, like, every single time they sold one, like, I think it was like a Poseidon skin or something, that 25% of that, or 50 or 75% of it, would be put into the prize pool of their next tournament, and just kind of have that money there going, okay, you just tell who the winners are, and we'll give them that profit to them. We'll give them that prize money. And that's all they need to do. Like, there's no guy who's coding who's going to have to go, okay, I have to quit all live content stuff to make that happen. Like, that's not his job. That's the accountant's job. That's the people who deal with the numbers. That's the media team's job. That's the PR team's job. Like, it's not going to be any developer's job to take care of that aspect. So I think just kind of them supporting them via, like, advertising them, giving them, hey, this is happening, our community is doing this, like, you should definitely go and give them a look at, and we're gonna actually, whoever signed up for these competitive tournaments that the players themselves are making, we're gonna throw in some cash for them. We're gonna give them some prizes, or we're gonna give them all station cash or daybreak cash, whatever it's called now. Or give the winners like a very special helmet that's like, I'm a winner, here's a giant stupid crown thing from Team Fortress or whatever. Like, something they can provide.
Okay.
But them doing it themselves, no. Like, I don't think the company themselves should run it. They should just provide the reward.
Cool. And Desspa?
So the question is if... I don't know, what?
Daybreak Gaming would invest in a small competition cup or a tournament for all outfit to take part and have a prize pool for teams. Do you think that would be nice from Daybreak to organize for the community?
Well, all the outfits should be involved in kind of ranking system on live server, so we know who's who and what that tag really means when you meet them on the battlefield. Now, and we have Counter-Strike Global Offensive on LAN. We have This is not PlanetSide. PlanetSide is having a crack fight somewhere on Indar. You know, fighting over a piece of land and fighting for hours.
as you said, there are many different ways to play this game.
I don't
I
think
understand
we
what
should have
PlanetSide is, but they can have their own thing, right?
Of course, and the community had. I mean, look at where server smashes are today. I mean, server smashes are the way it's meant to be played. It's the best experience you'll ever have once you are experienced enough and you understand the game. Where when you're done with learning the bases and driving over the mountains, you go to server smashes where the best people from a continent show up. And yeah, let's see how you play PlanetSide. Then you fight against the Americans, and then you fight against, I don't know. Too bad we can't fight Koreans yet. But I think server smashes, they should invest more in server smashes and not in the squad versus squad games. I will get a lot of hate for this. Don't get me wrong, I think a squad can have huge impact over the battlefield, but don't take that squad out of the battlefield, or out of the war frame. It's a war game. It's not a shooter. It's not a tactical situation. It's more than that. It's a continuous war. You can log in at any hour of the night, and yeah, that base is contested, and let's fight over it. That's PlanetSide for me. It's a massive war game over continents, over an entire planet.
Okay, fair enough. Question 7. We've already touched into it quite a lot, but we're also going to look at what the context of the question was. So, streaming is an important part of the game. It promotes a game and makes it more famous. Do you think we as streamers, casters, have more responsibility to provide more content and provide more material for people who want to see it? Or do we as a general community need to log into Twitch more and support any PlanetSide 2 streamers? Do you guys believe that enough is being done towards promoting the game within Twitch? Or do you think we can do more into basically supporting these streamers by just supporting their channels? It's as simple as that.
Basically, you need to watch them. Like, the more viewers that person gets, the farther PlanetSide gets up in the, rankings in Twitch. And that means that person gets more viewers, then eventually gets partnership, then more people want to watch them, go, hey, this guy's a sub button. Because it's surprising, as soon as you get that button, you start to get more and more viewers over time, way more than you would without it. Because they think, well, apparently if you got that means you must be decent enough to get that. And so the people get more of a chance and all that stuff. Not enough people watch it because it's watching others play PlanetSide 2 in some cases isn't that interesting. You kind of go there just for the people in the chat, which is also another aspect of Twitch. You go there just to chill out with people and talk. Like I mostly stream so I can just kind of like chill out with people or whatever, or people can just see me completely fail and like using a certain weapon that I hate or something like that, or challenges. Like I'm not a great player at PlanetSide by all means. Like I am not like super mega headshot pro all the time on my stream. Like I am just an average guy, average gamer dude, average skill. But there are players in PlanetSide who are like really high skill and everything, but don't really teach at all. I mean, sometimes I've seen them like kind of go, okay, here's my thought process of going through the space or whatever. But we don't really do that because I think we're just kind of chilling. Basically, for video content creators or Twitch streamers or anything else, we don't really have an obligation to make videos because that's our free time. Like, it takes, like when I make some of my videos, it takes legit work. I have to set by an entire day to record all the footage, make all the assets. It's basically like, if I got paid for it as being a video editor, I better be paid at least like 10 or 50 hours or $50 an hour on average video editor rate. Like, it's legit work when you get down and dirty with it, but no one's exactly obligated with it. But it would be nice if people would start making videos of it, start sharing it around, and people don't immediately like downvote it on Reddit. People don't immediately dismiss it. Like, give it a chance. Like take a look at it and just go like, hey, this guy made a video, or hey, this guy's streaming. Let's just give him a chance. Sit down, watch the guy for 10 minutes, see what happens, see if you enjoy him, like his personality. Just give some people a chance, because Twitch is a very first impression basis. Because as soon as you hop in, being consistently ongoing, being consistently entertaining is quite difficult. There are some people who just kind of like say screw it and just kind of chill most of the time and hope to God the gameplay is good. Like, it's a very weird thing. I mean, if somebody else wants to touch up on this, because there's really no solid answer of, there's really no definite of you should make a video, or we would like you to make videos because it would help, but you are not obligated.
I'll just hop in because I've done a bit of streaming myself, and I used to like play the game and try and play it to a higher level. So I think for me, the reason why people would watch me was because they'd like to learn stuff that somebody who spent a lot of time in the game has got to show. And I'm not really somebody that's got any other followers from any other game or anything like that, or that does it as a sort of casual kind of fun thing. I don't know. I probably did it a bit more on the hardcore gamer kind of sense. But I don't feel that we should be worrying about streamers. I think streaming and that kind of thing is a result of the game having a successful community, and there needs to be then there should be a desire to become famous in the community. I think that's why a lot of people do it. There's a lot of ego. It's certainly I want to be the best infantry player on the server if I can. I want to put that time in, or I want to be a known streamer, or I want to be in the team that wins the tournament. Yeah, I want to win something. I want to
wreck some people.
Yeah, exactly. And there needs to be a community. There needs to be a game that you actually want to do that in. Because if the game's dead, who cares if you're the number one player in a dead game, or you're a streamer in a dead game? It's not that. It's got no reward.
I try to support the community as much as, BRTD tries to support the community as much as we can, and that means that we're retweeting other people's tweets, following their streams, following their YouTube channels, etc., liking them. I think that's just something that the community can do as a whole to support each other.
Okay. We're going to move to the next question, which is, what do you think about the three factions? Are they equally matched? This is going to be a bit difficult and a bit tricky. Let's not try and get into massive discussion of I don't agree with this, or I agree with this, just opinions from each one of you, so we actually get a focus on what you guys think. So the question is direct. What do you think about the three factions? Are they equally matched? Are there any improvements or any weapons you would want to see or experience, or anything else you would want to play with? Also, if you have anything else to add to this, it's the time you would want to add. Do you think everything's, what's unequal, what's equal in the game? What do you think needs to be nerfed? What do you think needs to be buffed? What do you think needs to happen in a quick patch to fix some of these ultra headshots that we're seeing in the game, where you can't even move from one single bullet hitting you and then two coming over and finishing you off?
I think from where the game started, balance has come, quite a long way. There were times there where one faction would just have this OP weapon, but from my experience, it seems that balance is fairly close. I'm not sure how much closer you could make it. I think at least our point of view over at BRTD is, we're pretty happy with whether we fight NC or VS. It doesn't really matter. We don't have any preference because of whether we think that other factions' weapons are OP or UP. So, is there anything I'd like to see to play with? Pretty happy with the weapons we have myself. I think most of our members would be happy with just about every weapon we have. I think we've got a large enough variety of weapons. And is there anything else I'd like to add at this time? Not necessarily. I do want to, I don't think we're done with the stream yet, so I'll save my closing for later.
Cool. Fury?
Faction balance. I think balance between factions is alright. I think it's too good. I think there's too little difference between the factions. I mean, like overall power balance and how they fare, that's absolutely fine. I think gameplay elements like vehicles are far too in the favor of solo player.
Fury? Anyone else there? Hello? Oh shit!
Connection lost.
What the fuck?
Connected.
Sorry guys, we just had a small connection loss.
User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your
1 2
channel.
1 2. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's thundering and lightning a lot outside. I'm like, did my internet just die? And I'm kind of like looking at other streams and like, okay, those are still on, so something's wrong.
No, I thought some thunder hit you and then it connected to all of us. I was like, what the hell?
Got us, man. He's close.
Yeah. No, Furious, you were saying, sorry.
Furiosus.
Yeah, talk about Maxes needing changes and service connects. But
I don't think anybody heard it.
yeah, okay. So I feel like Maxes need to be like less damage. They need to be like looked at as support units. They need to be destroyed when they get killed, and maybe the person's resable, but not as a max unit. Again, that's what I was saying about vehicles. They need to be teamwork orientated. They need to be stronger, and they need to cost more in terms of resources. I would have loved it if at the start of the game you could have said, "Hey, I'm going to be a pilot" or something like that, like in games like War Thunder. But that's not how it is. I just feel like vehicles need to be more powerful, but require more teamwork and that kind of thing. And I don't like that C4 can be thrown. I think that should be placed.
Okay, Jolly, what do you think about the whole balance and everything else?
I think it's pretty good. Asymmetrical balance is always tricky. You know, you're never going to get it perfect. So you're always going to get these Reddit forum warriors that try and make it so, but short of making us all one colour, it's pretty difficult to do. So I think it's pretty close. In our experience, you know, we may not NC obviously, but all our guys have got plenty of experience of playing different servers, different factions, and the bottom line is, if you're a good player, you'll do fine on any faction. And likewise, if you're at the lower end of the scale, you're probably going to struggle, unfortunately. So there you go. It's not a bad benchmark, really.
All right, Desspa, what do you think about the whole balance and everything else? If you're there.
Well, I would like more differences between the factions, but what annoys me is nanite systems. So those guys piss me off a lot because all the bases look the same. Like, yeah, Vanu Archives. Vanu Archives should look like some spaceship base where Spandex porn is hidden, and NC Arsenal should look like a kebab joint. No, all the vehicles look the same. The game is not finished, and we're talking about balance. I mean, they've balanced secondary tank weapons 5 times already in the last 3 years. They should have more. Yeah.
You mentioned base design, and that's one of my 2 absolute major gripes with this game is base design and just spam in capital letters, exclamation mark, inverted commas, and that actually kind of ties into base design as well, because the base design exacerbates the spam, it allows for it. And that's just, you know, what could we do to change the game? I'd love to say base design, but it's so ingrained that there's no way that it's going to be changed. So
it's kind of simple. I mean, less bases, more interesting. Dundee, for example, should have the same capabilities, but should look differently. It's more immersion. If stuff looks different, then it's a plus. how much does it take to create a skin for, I don't know, a VS lightning tank or?
Well, I mean, certainly in PlanetSide 1, one of the major meta aspects was that vehicles played out in the field in the run-up to bases, and then bases were for the infantry guys. That's how it rolled, and that's absolutely not what happens in PlanetSide 2.
I haven't played PlanetSide 1.
That's fine. And
I played Counter-Strike a lot, and when I discovered PlanetSide, it was like a dream come true.
all right. And Zoran, anything to add between the equal factions and weaponaries and everything else?
I do find it a bit, when I look at the weapons and its stats and everything, I kind of wish there was a bit more variance, but of course I would like completely destroy the balance. And balance-wise, just for like general, I feel it's great. But of course there are some situations where it's like, if this thing and this thing was in this situation, this faction is vastly superior and because of this and this. But that always happens no matter what you do. Like say if I go a sniper versus a pistol, of course the sniper's going to win. But what I would like, I completely agree with like Desspa's thing, where I kind of wish there were like Vanu buildings and stuff. I wish there was more like, hey, this is more Vanu territory, which I don't think game-wise would work well, because the Night system is kind of brought up as a sort of, we don't need to completely remodel the entire map every single time a warp gate is changed. We don't need to like reload every single base or something. It's I think there'll be a technological challenge to kind of make everything that unique. But I do wish there was more like uniqueness with the empires. Like not only just by like vehicles and like their look, but when you kind of go into a TR territory, you feel like you're in the TR territory. Just besides the flags, like you see like little outposts or whatever with very like TR aesthetics. You see that the Terran Republic, like this style of thing is somewhere, like say you see like debris from tanks or something, or like ammo depots that like players can go to for like objectives in the game or so, which I'll say that for the final thoughts that I've always wanted, but I wish it was more. It's very hard to describe, really. I wish it was more uniqueness, really.
Okay.
That's all I have to say in general. Like, I wish I could go into more detail, but it's just to save time.
And the last question, how will the new anti-material rifle impact gameplay in a positive, negative way? Tank mine effectiveness against maxes, LMG imbalance between faction and conquest mode. What do you guys think about the rifle that's coming? I don't know if you know much about it, guys. There's a new engineer rifle coming that's anti-max. And what do you guys think about, will it impact the game in a positive way, negative way? The tank mine and the effectiveness against maxes now. So what do you think all this will bring to the game? Do you think it will stop some of those massive pushes, or do you think it will create a bit of frustration when you're trying to actually push points?
It should play an air horn if you one-shot body shot somebody. Because balancing that thing is like, honestly, I don't feel comfortable talking about it like I know everything about this weapon, because I've never played with it. I don't know its stats. I don't know what it can do. I don't know how they're going to balance it. But if it can do a lot of damage to a max, then will it do a lot of damage to infantry? And if it does, if I can hit an infantry in the body and immediately kill him with that weapon, I'm not going to have a fun time in PlanetSide anymore. Because I will not rest until that weapon is nerfed. Because I hate one-shot kill weapons.
I have.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's going to one-shot infantry. I think it's going to be like considerably different. Damage resistance is given to maxes, so that it can. I think it can headshot a max. But I don't think it's going to be very useful at all in the large-scale gameplay, because maxes are just, there's going to be so many of them. Engineers are going to be trying to snipe them, and by that time the sprint movement on the max, the charge, which is one thing that really needs to go, is going to put the max in their face, and you're not going to survive that.
It's
Right,
like,
guys, we're live and recording. I'm just going to ask the last question one more time. How would the new anti-material rifle impact gameplay in a positive, negative way? And tank mine effectiveness against maxes. Do you think now this is going to create different imbalances within the game? It's going to create different strategies into blocking different pushes. What is this new patch going to bring to the game?
Fine, I'll go. Don't feel that the anti-material rifle is actually going to do that much. It's going to be like 2 shots for maxes. Engineers are quite like weak classes anyway, and charge is going to give the maxes too much of an advantage, and they can just run up to them in big situations. In small situations such as late night play, I don't really feel that the anti-material rifle might be more useful, but that doesn't really matter anyway because you can just have a heavy that's also got a rocket launcher and a main gun. LMG nerfs, well, that's about time. They should all be about equal if they're going to go down this route. I don't really see either of these things being massive differences.
Okay, DNA.
I don't know. We're kind of looking at it as maybe we can use it like we used to use strikers, just in gang squads, possibly sitting up on top of a hill. I don't know if we want to commit too many ENGs inside, base caps, either holding or defending, to a gun where he may or may not hit, and then we've got vulnerable where we could use heavies instead. I don't know. I haven't seen the numbers on it. Tank mines, we currently use tank mines set up with claymores for maxes. And LMG imbalance between factions. I haven't tried the PTS, but from the numbers I've seen so far, looks like Beetlejuice Orion. Been way too long since those things needed a nerf. Conquest mode, I think we already talked about that earlier. I don't like the idea of fracturing the player base at this time.
Okay. And Desspa?
Well, finally the engineer can have his own Lancer when we're doing Lancer party. Disco on the mountain, Well, tank mines against maxes. That's easy mode. We used to do it with the proxy mine, next to the tank mine, set up a chain reaction, blew up the entire max crush. LMG imbalance, it's too late to nerf the Orion, guys. I'm gonna hate you for it, but yeah, as a veteran player, I will adapt. I have no choice if I want to continue. Well, I like having lattice and hex system at time. Should be on live and not in a separate game mode. As for the interview and everything, thanks. It's honor. To take part of the interview, and congrats with UFO. I don't know. That's.
Thank you. Okay, Jolly?
Pretty much the same as the rest. I don't think any of it's going to make a massive difference. I'm assuming the anti-material rifle for the engineer has to be carried as a primary weapon, so it's really not going to be a logical choice on the basis that it's going to be pretty rubbish against regular infantry, so you'll leave yourself almost defenseless in 90% of your encounters, so I don't think that'll really be changing very much. LMG imbalance, yeah, fine, bring them all into line. I'm cool with that. Tank mines, I think that will make a little bit of a difference with that's presumably obviously highlighting the proximity thing in all of this for maxes. Everyone has said that obviously they used to rig theirs with proximity mines, which I do accept, and that happens with MCYs, as well. But that doesn't allow for spontaneous deployment. You have to run back, switch out, and so it's fine if you're mining up an empty biolab in the anticipation of people crashing in. But if the crash is there and in front of you, then if you are carrying tank mines as an engineer, then you at least have some spontaneity about being able to do it. So I think it will make a change, but I don't think it'll be massive. So I'm cool with all of it, and Conquest mode, whatever.
Cool. Zoran?
For the LMG changes in the rifle, it's going to be a pure basis of wait till I can play with it and see what it can do. Like, I obviously have a fear of if it's going to be for like a primary or something, it's going to have to at least do some damage to infantry. But how much is it? Like, it's going to be one-shot headshot, two-shot headshot. Like, how powerful is it going to be against them? Can it hurt vehicles? What is it going to do with vehicles? It's going to be as strong as a Lancer, less so. Like, have to make a decision at that point because it's going to be a primary. Because like with the heavy assault and all that, with the rocket launchers, you get a rocket launcher, your primary, and your sidearm, and you're sacrificing a whole primary, and you don't have a backup. So,
is that confirmed? I don't know. Maybe it takes the place of their mana turret. I could be talking bullshit.
Yeah, that too. I'm talking about the possibility. Like, we don't know, and it would be interesting to have this discussion again once we've all been able to play with it on the PTS. The LMGs, I'm going to have to determine that once the changes are made and I get to play with it. Like, I don't have a solid opinion on that yet. And for the tank mines, I think it's fine, really, because I really hate dealing with maxes. And as long as I have another thing as an engineer to deal with max, like if I'm not a heavy assault or a light assault kitted out with a C4, which I normally never do, I always have a med kit. Like, it's nice to have something that I don't have to sacrifice my med kit to deal with a max. And as an engineer, I never really take mines anyway. Actually, right, take mines. I completely forget. Take mines.
You might now.
Med kits, right?
No, I don't think so.
I forget which slot. Like, it's been a while.
Oh, maybe, actually.
Yeah,
sorry,
I think they
maybe. Sorry, I never play engineer, literally ever.
So I'm an idiot. Ignore what I kind of said. But you understand my point. I'm glad that I have something to deal with a max that I don't have to be a heavy assault for. And although you can take care of it as a light assault, once more I go make it with that guy. So with engineer, I at least have something else. Like, if I go engineer, I'm not completely doomed when I go toe-to-toe with a max. I at least have something to prepare for them. Cool. It always sucks when you fight against them all alone, and you don't really have that much to go against them. So, I think it's okay, but we'll see how it goes when we get to play with it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining, first of all, and I'd like to thank each one of you individually. Soon we'll have another episode. I want to invite some of you guys back. We're hoping to get 2 developers of the game, and hopefully we can discuss things in progress and discuss things that they might be able to put into perspective. So one more time, all of you, thanks for attending this small discussion meeting.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kosovan.
It's been an honor.